Hi everyone, this is Akash and I welcome you all to this channel. So friends, I hope you remember this particular video, and if not, it means you haven't watched it yet. Link is in the description box, go check it out. So friends, this video is going to be the part 2 of that particular video, and in this video I'm going to share the React.js question, basically React.js machine coding question, and one DSA question that was asked to me. So friends, stay tuned and watch the video till the end. And one small request, if your subscribe button is still red, then click on that button and make it gray. And friends, I hope, basically I'm aiming for at least 100 likes. So I hope you can help me to achieve that. So let's start the video. So friends, the React question that the interviewer gave to me was to create a file explorer. So I hope you have seen in VS Code the file explorer that we have on the left side. So the interviewer also wanted something like that only. So this is what it looks like. Basically to have one root folder. Second is its directory, like subdirectories, and those directories can contain the files basically. So this is how it looks. You can collapse it, you can open it, and you can also collapse this source directory, and basically this is the directory source and these are its files, and you can collapse it, and we have one root directory on the top level. So this was something that the interviewer has given me to make. So let's see how we can code it. So friends, this is the React boilerplate. Let's quickly clean the code. First, let's remove this header portion as we do not need this, and we also don't need this app. Let's clear this logo, and let's remove this entire CSS. Cool. So I hope, and let's try to run this particular piece of code now. Yarn start. So cool, as you can see, our hello is printed. Now first, in order to like print that explorer, as you can see, this is something that the interviewer wanted us to make. So like this is the root directory and it contains the subdirectories like source folder, public folder. So what you need to do is first you need to design your JSON. So let's quickly create the JSON first. So inside this source directory, we are going to have a folder with name data. So friends, now this data folder will be having one file that will be folder data.js. Okay. So you can also make this folder data.js outside the data folder, but it is cool. Like it is like it looks good to have a structure. The interviewer will see that yes, the candidate is following some structure. So you should have some code, guidelines. Now inside this data, we will have our folder data.js and it will have the object. So let's make the object, and this will be the directory object, and it will something look like this. It will have the ID property that will be 1, and the name will be something root. And what else we can keep is we can keep the type, like is it a folder or a file. So this one is folder. Cool. And now this is the root folder. Okay, and it is the object that consists of the properties of a root folder. Now it will also have some children. Basically this is the root folder and it has like some nested folders and some files. So for that I'm going to give it items array. Now this items array will also consist of some objects. Now let's quickly define the JSON. So friends, this is how our final JSON looks like. So we have simply exported it so that we can use it by importing it in other files. And we have simply this root object which has some children, like it has another folder which is src folder. The src folder has some items which are basically files. You can see over here the type is file, but the files cannot have a file inside it. So the items array is empty over here. Similarly, this root folder has one more folder which is public folder, and public folder has one file which is index.html. So you can also design your own JSON in your own way. Okay, cool. For the folder component, let's give it one style. I'm going to give it inline styling over here. So I have given it margin of 25 pixel to give it some spacing. So the interviewer was not focusing on the inline styling. So you can we can ignore that. The only thing that the interviewer wants is to have a look at your logic. So now over here, what we are going to do, just let it be like this. What we are going to do over here is we are going to create another folder that will be components, because we are going to keep our folder inside this components. So let's quickly create this folder .js file. Cool. Now I am using this extension basically with the help of which you simply have to write RFCE and it gives you this particular boilerplate. Okay, so you can have a look at this extension over here, ES7. Yeah, basically there are a lot of extensions. Just give me a second. This one, ES7 plus React. Cool. So now what we are going to do is, let's quickly, we have exported it. Now let's simply import it over here. Let's simply import it over here. So friends, what we are going to do, we are going to be needing that particular directory object. So let's console it, how it looks like. Basically we need to import it first. Cool, let's have a look at it. So friends, our directory object looks like ID. Basically this is the root folder, and inside that root folder we have items, and this is the items array that has another folder, and that folder consists of few files like app.js, app.css. Cool. Now what we can do is we have to pass this particular thing inside this basically as a props. Okay, so we have passed this as a prop to folder, and over here what you can do is you can simply destructure that particular directory over here. Cool. Now what we can do before moving ahead, so what I did is now I've simply created small UIs for like folder and for file. Let's quickly create them. And I'm going to give it a class name of file. Cool. And over here what we can do is we can simply, we know we have dir.name, we are going to simply use it. Cool. And let's give it some padding. So friends, now inside app.css, let's create these particular styles. So here are the styles. The folder class name has background yellow and font weight of 600, and the file have display flex direction column, because we have to display the files in a vertical way, and we have some margin, and we have the font weight of 600 in both the cases. So as you can see the listing over here, the yellow one is folder and this one is file. Cool. Now one more thing that we can do is we can give it an icon. So what you have to do is, for Windows you can simply create on this FN key, and you can have this folder icon over here, and for file also. Let's save it. Cool. So as we can see, we have the folder and file UI ready. Now what else we can do? So what we have to do is, friends, have a look at this particular thing over here. So our root folder has item property and item properties array. So think of it as a tree data structure. So we have a root and the root has some children. So what we have to do basically, once we have simply printed the root over here, now we have to traverse the items, and then we have to call the folder component recursively. Okay. So one more thing, what you have to do is, when we are going to click this root folder, then only the file should be visible. Okay. And we have two UIs, like for root and for file. So we have to have a check for basically a folder, basically a root property, a folder property and a file property. So that we can do using, I hope you remember this property type equals folder. So we are going to have one check over here. So friends, this is that particular check I am talking about. If dir.type is equals to folder, then we are going to render this particular CSS or else this particular CSS. Now over here, what we have to do is we have to render. We have to basically loop over the folder items. Let's quickly do that. And what we can do is we simply can call this function again, folder. And what is this taking? dir. So we can pass this dir object with the help of this particular el dot, or only el, because el is the object. And we can use this index as a key over here. Key of cool. So friends, yeah, this key is necessary because React uses this key to calculate the uniqueness, basically to find the uniqueness of these particular items that are listed over here. So as you can see over here, what we have done, we have simply traversed the items and we have called this folder function component basically recursively, and our entire thing is printed on the screen, as you can see. So now what we have to do is, now another thing that we have to do is these particular files and folders should only be visible when we are clicking on it. So let's quickly give a on click. So friends, let's quickly have one state. Basically it will be a Boolean state and its initial value will be false. So what we have to do over here is simply do set show to the negation of this show. Basically if it is true, then make it false. If it is false, then make it true. And now on the basis of this set show and hide function, what we can do is we can add one CSS over here. So friends, this is the style, inline style that I've added. Basically display, and display will be at least either block or it will be either none. So if the property, if the show is like false, then it is none or else it is block. So as you can see, our entire list, our entire subdirectory is hidden right now. So when I'm going to click on it, it will be visible. Yeah, it is visible. Opening it. When I click on public, it has actually opened public, but it is getting closed because yeah, there's one more concept that we are going to use. It is the event propagation basically. So we have to like stop that event propagation. How we can do that? We get this event over here. So we can simply use that to e.stop propagation. Let's see if it works using this or not. Let's quickly refresh and let's click on root. Cool. Let's click on src. Cool, src is opening, and on public, public is opening. Let's try closing them. Cool. So friends, as you can see, we have successfully attempted this question and we have like finished it also. So let's have a look at the okay. So let's go through the entire thing once more. What we have done is we have first created the JSON over here, a simple JSON. This property, this is basically the property, name, type, items and ID. And we have simply repeated this particular property inside this items. So it is kind of a tree data structure. Okay. So it is kind of a tree data structure, and the tree data structure is traversed using two properties, which is DFS and BFS. So that's what we have done over here. Okay. We have simply called the function component recursively. Okay. And we have, like, for the first time, very first time, we know that our directory contains the root. So we have simply printed the root, dir.name, that is root. But now we do not know that the JSON will consist of the folder or the files. So what we have done, we have simply traversed the items of the root and we have simply called the function again, and then it will check if the type is folder, it will come inside this loop. If the type is file, then it will come inside this particular loop. Sorry, not loop, condition. Okay. So friends, yeah, one more thing that you could have done over here is you could have simply added this check array.isArray to check the dir.items. Okay. And one more thing, that dir.items.length. exists or not, and then cool. So this is the small thing that you could have done, and our function is still running. Great. So friends, if you are still with me up till this point, it means you are finding the video interesting. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Now let's have a look at the another question. That was the DSA question. And friends, don't worry, I will simply push this code to GitHub also. If you have not understood it, then you can simply try, like taking help from there as well. So let's try to solve the DSA question. Basically, we have to find that pivot element in an array such that sum of left array and the right array is equal. Okay, so these are the input basically. Like let's suppose we have 14250 and this is the pivot. Why this is the pivot? Basically, this is that element. If you see, the sum of the left elements 1 and 4 is 5 and sum of the right elements, that is 5 and 0, is also 5. So this is the pivot element. In this particular use case, the pivot element will be 1. Why? Because the sum of the right portion is 9 and the sum of the right portion is also 9. So the solution that I gave to the interviewer was of time complexity big of n square and space complexity big of 1. So let's quickly try to write that particular solution. So this function of r will take n, and what else we can do is, so friends, what you can do is you can try running your loop. So we are going to pick each and every element. Let's suppose we are picking 4, and when we are picking 4, what we are going to do, we will consider each of these elements as our pivot, as our suitable answer. So when we are picking 4, we will check if its left sum is equal to the right sum or not, and we will be doing it for 4, 2, 5, 0, same practice. And let's suppose we come to 2, and then we will check left sum is equals to right sum or not, because we are going to find the left sum. Left sum means we are running a loop from 4 till 1, and right sum means we are running a loop from 5 till 0. So we are going to find it and store it in our counter. If these two counters are equal, it means that we have found a pivot. Okay, but we are not going to take the 1 because there is no element on the left of it. So we are going to run first loop from the 1th index, basically second, which is 4. Let's take a counter variable which is left sum equals 0. Now friends, what we have to do is we have to run another loop. One more thing over here, we have to run it from 1, not 0. And this loop we are going to run from I, and this is the loop that we are running towards left. So it should be greater than or equal to 0, and let's change this particular pointer to j, and j less greater than equal to 0, and j should be minus minus because we are running backwards. And now what we can do is left sum plus equals array at j. So this will help us in storing the left sum. Now what we have to do is we simply need to repeat the same process for right sum. Now we are running forward. So k less than n and k will be plus plus. And over here we will be having array at k, and this will be right sum. So friends, I have seen like what we do, many of us, we just do the code when the interviewer asks us to do the code, like on JS Fiddle or Code Sandbox. We do not like keep a track of this indentation. So try to like do your code in a clean way. okay, and in a manageable way so that it can be managed. If your code is like, you know, if you are writing a big code, so it should be managed easily, or it should be like, you know, you have to break your code into functions, different functions. So in a hurry, don't try to you know, like, ignore all these standards, coding standards. Keep those coding standards in your mind as well. So now, yes, so the last thing that we have to do is, if what we are going to return, we are going to simply return the I, or else we are going to return -1. Cool. So friends, let's try to run this code. Clear console, run. Give me a second, we have not yet called it. Array, and we can pass the n is 5 over here. Okay, cool. Let's try running it. One more thing that we have to do is console.log it. Okay, so we are getting -1, but we should be getting the valid answer. Let's see why we are getting -1. So friends, let's try to debug why we are getting -1. We are simply running a loop, and over here we are also running the left sum, over here the right sum, and if left sum is equals to right sum, okay. Yeah, so friends, this return -1 that we are doing, this return -1, we have to do it outside this parent loop, which means that we have run our entire loop and this particular condition was not satisfied. Hence we have exited this particular code, and now finally we are going to return -1. So friends, let's try to run it once again. Run. Cool. So as you can see, we have got the index that was 2. Cool. Now if you want to try this particular input, we can try this also. And we have got the index as 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 1 is the pivot over here. So friends, these were the 2 questions that I was asked in this particular round. Number 1 was that React machine coding, and second was the DSA. So friends, I hope that you have liked both the questions, and if yes, then please help me to achieve the aim of getting at least 100 likes on this particular video, and don't leave without subscribing. Thank you very much. We will be meeting in next video.